There is Heavy, and then there is Immolation, a band that spent decades branding death metal into something darker, stranger, and outright hostile. Now with their new album, Descent, set to drop April 10th, I'm sitting down with the Riff architect to get inside the noise. Bob, how are you, mate? Thank you so much for your time. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, anytime. I am really, really looking forward to this new album. I cannot wait to get my ears into it. Now, something I've always noticed, particularly with your riffs, is they've got this almost uncomfortable, kind of like a wrong feeling, but in the best possible way. When you're writing, are you consciously trying to like make the listener feel that little bit uneasy, or is that just like the way you write?
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones, in the past, they probably were actually wrong, but these days, it's I'm just yeah, it's just coming up with something that sounds interesting, whether it's the most basic of things or something that's got a lot more going on, or it's maybe, very dissonant or it's not. It just depends, you know what I mean? I just go by what catches my ear when I'm just sitting down trying to come up with stuff. It could be literally like a two-note thing or whatever, and I'm like, all right, that sounds cool. I'll record that.
Yeah,
What do I got to lose? You know what I mean? So, and that's what I do, and that's it. There's no, now granted, once I build on a certain riff, I do like to expand on it a lot as it goes, or sometimes just in general, like I'll try and add, a different note to it, or an octave of that note, or a certain whatever, a fifth of that note, whatever you want to call it. But I just try. Sometimes I put stuff together where it's not just both of us playing the same thing. It's kind of like I try to utilize the fact that there's two guitars and create a certain sound with that as well. Or sometimes creating a certain part and then having a whole melody fly over it, which can change that part as it goes, or can
yeah,
create that part from the beginning as is, and that's something I've always found interesting, and I always like doing, because it kind of breeds a lot more life into the part, and opens it up a bit, as opposed to just a one dynamic. It adds more dynamics to it, where there's more going on.
yeah. Now, you when you're writing, I'm a songwriter as well, and so when I'm writing, I
Mhm.
write in my DAW now. 10 years ago, I'd sit down with the guitar and you'd craft a song, and you'd maybe have a cassette tape there that you could hit record on, so you could listen back
Right.
what you're writing. These days, it's so easy to sit in the DAW and just write and be able to listen back and get that instant dopamine hit. Is that the way that you're writing now? Are you like sitting in a DAW and like recording stuff so you can then, do those things like play another riff over it, or
Absolutely, yeah. Like,
experiment?
I definitely come from the school of, like, come up with something, get the cassette tape 4 track, and then
Yeah,
record it and try to remember it. And then I try to remember how I had it situated. Like, I probably told the story a few times already this past couple of weeks, but like, for instance, back in the day, songs I'd write and I'd call up Ross and I'd be like, all right, listen to this. Or like, say, Close to Roll Below, for instance, it's a long track, has a big intro. And I literally, when I came up with that, I literally played that over the phone. I think he was probably back in the day, he was like at a payphone on the street, because he was out doing, like, routes and stuff. And he's like on the phone listening, and I'm playing just the guitar, me over the phone by memory, just playing the riffs. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to play this and I'll explain everything after it's done. So play like an 8 minute song to him and then get on the phone, like, all right, so this is what I'm thinking for this, So that was the early days, as I'm sure, you've dealt with as well.
yeah,
But now, yeah, once, and I was definitely late to the game because I started in like 2010. But once I had, the multi-track computer thing going and the programs, I use Ableton Live, and it's just a nice multi-track recording device, and they got drums built in there, so I can create the drum beats and everything. And yeah, so ever since then, yes, I'll sit down in front of a computer and I just try and come up with stuff. And when it does come to me, I'll just, all right, just hit record. And then once I record something, I'll be like, all right, when I'm thinking of when I hear the riff, I'm like, all right, I kind of know how would the drums go. I know it's a heavy riff, so how would the drums fit best here? And I'll try and take the time and create like an actual beat for that with
yeah,
the riff in mind, and then possibly like an overlay with a different guitar, or I'll just double up on the guitars to beef it up, or I'll put a melody behind it or something, and then that's it. And I just put it to the side, and then eventually, as you know, that adds into more parts, and then what I'll do is
yeah,
just figure out when something hits me, like, okay, this is going to be the main part, or these two riffs go together. Let me try working something with that. And but that could be, I could go on for a while and then I could just dump it after a while, and start someplace else. But that's how it is, just create a bunch of parts and then start putting them together and what you feel works,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Much like me,
basically
I'm
how I do
assuming, yeah, much like me, I'm assuming you've probably got like a large folder that I call my riff graveyard that is just full of saved files of riffs where I'm like, one day I will come back and listen to these and pull
it.
something
Right.
from it. But
I never had a ton of those to be honest, but because what I do, I have the timeline, on our project. So like the last record, I did end up having a lot of stuff that was really cool, but I honestly did not know what to do with it.
yeah,
And I didn't know how to use it. So I didn't want to use it because I'm not just going to use it to use it. I'm like, this has potential, but I don't know what the hell to do with it right now, And a lot of that happened, like I'd have some bunch of riffs or Alex would send me a couple of things and I'd put it on the line and put drums to it and put it to the side. And I'm like, I like this, but I don't know. I just can't do anything with it. You know what I mean? So that's
yeah,
the problem. And but I did have stuff left over from the last time, and I still have a couple of things, honestly, even from that period. Um, but I normally don't have that, but I did from that last session. And then along with the new stuff, I revisit it, and then like, oh, this would work right here, or this would carry this part, or whatever. And I was able to use them this time, which was awesome. So it does. I noticed it does help to have that stuff floating around. It's great, but I don't have a ton of it. But and the graveyard that I have are stuff on the line that I still won't delete, even though I'll listen to it again and again. I'll listen to it and I'll be like, it's a fail, and I keep forgetting to delete them, but yeah, my graveyard is definitely just a graveyard for sure, with maybe like 5 parts that I might use in the future. But anyway, but yeah, that's pretty much, very similar in a lot of ways.
yeah. I know what you mean though. I can't bring myself to delete anything like that because one day, even though I'll probably never listen to it again, I might go back. So,
You never know. So that's why, unless I really think it's complete fail, I'm like, all right, maybe I don't know. I'll hold on to it. What do I get to lose? It's just on the timeline floating there. What do I
yeah.
care?
Now, like your music is super like cinematic and has like almost like a horror movie tension to a lot of it. Are you a visual songwriter? Like, do you have visuals in mind when you're writing or emotions there, or is it just this is an awesome
I
riff?
think, well, maybe sometimes, sometimes as I'm writing parts, there'll be a certain vibe or feel I get. And then, with those parts, after I put them into the system and I'm writing or I have a part, thinking that music will kind of like, I'll just start coming up with lyrics. I don't even know what the hell I'm writing about yet. And I'll just start coming up with lines. So I'll write those down. So yeah, there's always some kind of inspiration or an idea of like visuals for sure, in a lot of ways, but not all the time. But I think as it builds, you start thinking of stuff and as you create and when those epic parts come up, there's definitely kind of visual and ideas
Yeah,
to create the epic lyrics that should go there, et cetera. And okay, this is going to be the climactic part of the song, and you can feel it, and so let's make that'll be the climactic part, and we'll think of like lyrics that really, really, hit the point home there and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I mean, I definitely have some visual thoughts, sure,
yeah, yeah.
when I'm
Now you've had like a massive career already. Do you ever feel that you are trying to like with each release, are you trying to like live up to the last album and the legacy, or are you just chasing that next
well,
idea?
I guess you can't avoid that as much as I try
Yeah.
to. It's always like I would be like, wow, wow, I can't believe we did the last record the way we did it. It came out, we love the last record. Like, I don't know. We gotta now we gotta try and at least it's got to be at least as good as that. You know what I mean? So just to me, you're only as good as your last record. It's like I try to
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to. We don't want to create a dud. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants to. You know what I mean? So we're very cognizant of like when we're creating songs, we want it to be as strong as possible. So you know, I don't look back much at all in the sense of like, oh, what did I do here? What was on this? It's just a matter of, but the general thought of being like yeah, you don't want to go, like this, and have the trajectory go that way. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so yeah. Other than that, I think, but that comes with every record and every song. Like you're always like, as you're creating songs, that's the part that's tough for me personally. Is like, you know, here we go. Like especially when you're just getting started with the first song on your 12th record, you're like, all right, it's a blank slate. Where do we go from here? And then it's kind of like an ominous task. You know what I mean? It feels daunting at the time, and then as you get a song done, you're like, all right, that okay, we have a song, and then you come up with a second song, you're like, all right, and then it starts to take shape as you go, and then you kind of think about what balances the record out, trying to come up with okay, maybe I need kind of more of a quick hitting song, or something at least that's quick in the beginning or whatever. You try and just build almost like the whole album becomes one song, different parts
Yeah.
of that record kind of create the whole, so yeah. So, but yeah, there's always, you want to live up to, I mean, for us, we just want it to be good. So we don't want it to not be good. So I guess that's what we're living up to. If we feel we kind of like, wow, this is cool. Listen to this part. Oh, I love the way this came out. Then at least we're happy. And then we just cross our fingers and hope everyone else digs it.
Yeah, I think that's what we're always trying to do to, always just one up the last thing. Whether that's personally or whether that's through, acclaim from, peers and fans. That's always
Yeah.
the aim is to,
Yeah. You just don't
better
want to
that
be
last
disappointed.
thing.
You don't want to have, I mean, luckily we've never been there where it's like you come out with an album and you're like, ah, I really like it. It's like the whole album's a disaster. It's like you might have a song or two or three that you're like, this could have been better. Of course, that always happens, but I've never been to the point where it's like, wow, this is, wow, we totally failed completely. It's like, so that's at least what we try to get to, where we're not failing completely.
Yeah, yeah. These days when you're playing, do you get more satisfaction from playing technical stuff or playing something brutal but simple?
I'd probably get more out of I get more out of probably the simplest stuff in a lot of
Yeah,
ways. You know what I mean? Like, I go with whatever fits the song or whatever makes the song work. But there's certain songs when you play them, when stuff that's a little bit more, I guess you could say basic or more, driven with heaviness or driven with a certain uh less technicality. I guess a lot of times I enjoy that better personally. But yeah, it's always there because it's like it's just a balance. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you need those parts to just certain parts just have to be a certain way. But I don't go into it thinking like, all right, I'm gonna create this crazy part now. It's just, or I'm going in to create a simple part. It's just what am I creating? I come up with it, and then you're thinking about what works next in the song. So like, that's also troublesome because you'll have like a song up to a certain point. It's like, wow, I like where it's going, but I don't know where to go from here. And that can,
yeah.
really determine how good or bad the song is. So
And
yeah.
how often have you written something then that you've then gone to play live and gone, how do I do this?
Well, a lot for sure. Like when you're like, you have to relearn everything, especially the older stuff. We're pulling stuff off of like our second record. It's like, okay, I got to relearn this one again because obviously we're not playing the songs all the time. So if we're gonna pull something off, one of the old records that we might not have played in a long time, or some songs, we even maybe never played, or if we did, it's been years and years, 20 years since we played the song. So you have to go back and listen. You know what I mean? Because these days, at least between like our old guitarist Bill, when he was in the band, he started tabbing everything out. So when we started showing him old stuff, so that was great. And now I've gotten to the habit when I'm writing, like I'll get the riffs together and then I'll do a video of all the riffs, and then maybe I'll play through. But more importantly, the riffs done slowly on video so I can see what they are because I don't write music and I'm too lazy to write a tab down for. I'd rather just play it so you can see it and I'll worry about it later. And then I could send it to Alex, when I'm done with the songs, I could send it to him and he could see what I'm doing, etc. And yeah, so having that now makes it a lot easier. But the stuff in the early days, you just got to go by ear. And I
Yeah.
almost have to think about how did I play the guitar back then? What was my approach back then, especially with the solos? I'm like, what the hell was I doing here? But then I kind of have to go back to the way I approached it back then. And I'd be like, oh, this is what I was doing. I would do something like this. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of because I remember what I used to do. Not that I'm too far off from what I used to do, but I kind of think about, oh, I would do this. Yeah, this is what I'm doing. And then it kind of all clicks back, but it takes a second sometimes. Sometimes you're just baffled, like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, yeah. And the way
But
technology is moving these days, it's just crazy that, you go back 10 years and the analog stuff we were using would do completely different things to what, your digital stuff is doing now. And you could get some crazy sounds completely by accident with that analog stuff that you just can't do with the
absolutely,
digital. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm not complaining about the digital age. I can tell you that
No.
right now because
Yeah.
that saved our ass quite a few times. I remember recording on the 2-inch tape. It was a lot tougher, and we're in the studio, look, it's where we're trying to record it, so when we play it live, it's correct. So in the studio, you have to do a little cut and splice, you have to do something, whatever. Who cares? It's like I'm nobody cares if I could play it through in the studio. You care if I could play it on the stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where it counts. So, if you have a part that's a million times in a row, if you have like a part that's 16 times and you screw it up once, it's like, yeah, cut that over there and just place it over there. Done. It's like you're not sitting there with a tape having to like have somebody else push in the right spot. And if they push in the wrong time and you get it right, then you have to redo it. And and then the tape goes bad after a while. It's crazy. So
Trying to get
so
those perfect
digitally, I
drop-ins on tape
embrace.
as well. It's a nightmare. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I get it for people that still. I mean, it's a cool thing to record on it. Those of us that can these days, it's a rarity, and it's kind of
Mm.
probably very cool. But what we do, it's like, yeah, digital only.
But even these days, I mean, they're recording onto tape and then transferring it to digital. So
Right.
yeah, yeah.
True.
Bob, I always finish these up with just a few quick fire questions. So this is kind of
Sure.
off the top of your head. Feel free to expand on them if you want. But do you have a favorite new artist or band?
Yeah, I'd say well, they're not so new, but I think one of the newest ones that I like a lot is Blood Incantation.
Yeah,
We got to tour with them a couple times, and they seeing their progression. They've always done really cool stuff, but that last record was just ridiculous. It's like
amazing. Yeah,
I love seeing how far they've gotten and what they do with it, both in the studio, in their creativeness, and on stage. And what they do with the stage. It's awesome. Very cool guys, and I like what they've done. You know what I mean? And we know them. We know their hearts into it. They're really into being very particular about everything and creative in what they create. So yeah, they're definitely one of my favorites
that's
in the
awesome.
newer bands, sure.
Yeah. Now, when you're on tour, do you have one place that you look forward to playing the most? Whether that be not so much for the show, it could be, hey, there's an awesome Italian restaurant here that every time we go to this town, I go to this restaurant.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of places like that, I guess, because you come into town, you're like, oh, like I mean, we're very like Prague is a cool place. Like we did play there on the last tour, but we didn't get to go into the city, unfortunately. But that's one of our favorite places, and we do know a few places like Pizza Coliseum and a couple of places in the square and whatnot. So we've been there many times, both on tour and on vacation, etc. So that's definitely a favorite of ours, and we have some friends in the Czech Republic as well. So yeah, so that's definitely one of the favorites for sure. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of places like that we just enjoy, going to.
Yeah.
I,
No, I
I
mean,
really
I've
like
said
to
yes to
travel.
gigs because of a pizza place next door to the venue. So
Hey, it's always something to look forward to. You're like,
yeah.
well, we got that place next door, or they have really good ice cream over there in the square. So,
Yeah. Mate, do you have a set string gauge that you always play?
yeah, 13 through 56 is I've been using
Nice.
that for years
Nice.
because
Nice.
we tuned to C, which we found out on the first record, and so we realized that when you tune a little lower, having a thicker string, makes it feel a
Yeah.
better feel. It makes it feel more like I did when I tune normally. So, and that's it. I've been happy with that, for years and
Oh,
years. So that's
beautiful. Yeah.
pretty,
Yeah. See, I play an
yeah.
11 to 56 on a drop C.
Okay. In the
So B
ballpark. Yeah.
standard, they're pretty much the same thing. So get that nice big
Yeah.
heavy top end, but a little bit slinky down the
Yeah.
bottom
And I
still.
know people that use heavier with the two tune the same way and less. So everybody's just a feel thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's what
Yeah. Last question. Favorite guitar of all time?
favorite what?
Guitar of all time.
Oh, my guitars?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, we play ESP, and I've been into them for years now. Alex has been into them since, the 80s. So I'm a latecomer, but I love the guitars, and we use the Arrow for live
Yes.
playing. I love the Arrows. They're really, really cool. I just got a new one for this tour, which is awesome. So I've been playing on that one. It's got a great feel. And then, in the studio and when I'm home and sitting around, I use
I love
you
that it's
know,
right there as well.
the M2 ones.
Yeah. I'm the
And
same. I got
and
all my guitars just right here next to me at all
yeah,
times. So yeah.
yeah. So I always have this one here at least, and but I'm more comfortable recording and everything with the Strat body types. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then for live, I will use these on occasion if we have to do a lot of plane trips, from show to show. But for the most part, the Arrow is my favorite live because it just the way I go about my stage work, it kind of lends itself to what I end up doing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Oh, amazing. Bob, thank you so much for your time today. Descent, your
Thank
12th
you.
studio album arrives April 10th via Nuclear Blast Records. We cannot wait to have it. We would love to see you out here in Australia at some time as well for this
Yeah,
record. Is there anything else
we're
you want to say
working on
before
it.
we finish up?
Just thank you for the interview. It was a pleasure. And thanks to everyone in Australia. We've been there before, and it's always been amazing. And we look forward to coming back. So we should hopefully be there either later in the year or sometime next year for sure.
Oh,
But we will be
fantastic.
there.
No, that
So
sounds absolutely amazing. Bob, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to get
thank
into
you.
this album, and we'll hopefully see you
Awesome. Hope
very
you
soon in
enjoyed
Australia.
it. Awesome. Take
Cheers,
care,
mate.
man.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Lost fight.